Your father sits in the kitchen some mornings before anyone else wakes up. The house is silent. The coffee is still hot. And he stares at the photograph on the refrigerator, the one from last summer where you're standing in the driveway holding a basketball squinting into the sun. He doesn't know why that photograph stops him. Maybe it's the way you're standing. Maybe it's the light. But something about it makes him realize he's already started missing you, even though you still live under the same roof. You don't see this, of course. You're upstairs sleeping or texting someone or thinking about the test you have on Friday. You're inside your life, the way a person is supposed to be. And that's exactly what he mourns. Not that you've left, but that you don't yet know you're leaving. There's a kind of loneliness that only a parent knows. It's not the loneliness of being abandoned. It's the loneliness of watching someone you love move through a version of time that you can't enter anymore. You're living in years that feel long to you, endless even. The school year stretches out like a slow march. Waiting for the weekend feels like waiting for a distant season. And your father remembers that feeling. He remembers when a single summer felt like an entire childhood. But now, from where he stands, those same years look like nothing. A blink, a breath, a photograph on the refrigerator that somehow appeared overnight. He watches you grow bored during dinner. He sees you check your phone when he's talking, and he doesn't get angry the way he used to, because he knows something now that he didn't know when you were smaller. He knows that this exact moment, this ordinary Tuesday, this quiet evening where nothing important is happening, this is the time he will ache for later. Not the vacations, not the big moments. This, the unremarkable hours when you were still here, still his, still close enough to hear breathing in the next room at night. When you were 7, he used to watch you sleep. He'd stand in the doorway of your bedroom after tucking you in, and he'd stay there longer than he needed to, just looking at your face in the glow of the nightlight. Back then, he thought he was protecting you, making sure you were safe. But really, he was trying to memorize you. Some part of him already knew, even then, that you were temporary. That childhood is not a phase you pass through. It's a country you leave and never return to. And once you cross that border, he can't follow. There's a cruelty in the way time is built. It doesn't move at the speed we need it to. When you're young, it drags. When you're older, it runs. And there's no mechanism to balance it, no way to borrow hours from one season and lend them to another. Your father is living in fast time now, and you're still living in slow time. And the tragedy is that by the time you understand what he feels, you'll be standing in a kitchen of your own, staring at a photograph of someone you can't hold on to. He tries to tell you sometimes, in his own way. When he asks if you want to go to the hardware store with him, or if you want to shoot hoops in the driveway before dinner, what he's really saying is, stay, just a little longer. Let me have this. But you don't hear it that way. You hear an errand, a chore, an interruption of your plans, and you say no, or maybe later, or you go, but you bring your earbuds, and he doesn't push, because he knows you can't feel what he feels. Not yet. And he wouldn't want you to. Because to feel it would mean you've already lost something. And you shouldn't have to lose it before you've finished living it. This is what regret actually is. It's not wishing you'd done something differently. It's realizing that the life you were living, the one that felt so slow, so ordinary, so unremarkable, was the life worth savoring. And you missed it. Not because you were careless, but because you were inside it. And when you're inside something, you can't see its shape. You can't feel its weight. You don't know it's precious until it's behind you. Your Father knows this now. He knows it the way you know the heat of fire after you've been burned. He looks at you across the dinner table, and he sees the ghost of the boy you were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10. He sees all the versions of you layered on top of each other, like frames of film stacked in his memory, and he realizes he can't remember the exact moment you stopped holding his hand in parking lots, or when you stopped asking him to read to you before bed. It wasn't a decision. It wasn't an event. It was erosion, slow and silent. And now he's standing on the other side of it, trying to recall what your small hand felt like in his, and the memory is blurry. He wonders if he was present enough, if he looked at you closely enough, if he said the things he should have said, not the lectures, not the advice, but the small, true things, like, I love watching you exist, or you make the house feel alive, or I'm not ready for you to grow up, even though I know you have to. He wonders if you know those things without him saying them. He hopes you do, but he's not sure, and here's the part that hurts most. He knows you're not thinking about him the way he's thinking about you. You're not sitting in your room at night wondering if you're spending enough time with him. You're not memorizing his face or trying to hold on to the sound of his voice. You're thinking about your own life, your friends, your future, the person you might become. And that's exactly what you should be doing. That's exactly what it means to be young. To look forward, not backward. To leave, not stay. But it doesn't make it easier for him. It just makes it lonelier. There's a moment that's coming. He knows it's coming because it came for his father and his father before him. It's the moment when you'll be sitting somewhere far away. Maybe in a city he's never been to, maybe in a life he can't quite imagine, and you'll see something small. A father and son throwing a football in a park, or you'll hear a song that used to play in the car on the way to school, and it will hit you all at once, not gently, like a wave. The realization that those years, the ones you barely noticed, the ones you maybe even rushed through, were the years your father was holding on to with everything he had. And by the time you feel it, by the time you want to go back and live them differently, slower, with more attention, it will be too late. Not because he's gone, but because that version of you is gone. The boy he knew, the boy he loved, the boy who lived in his house and ate at his table and existed in a time when being his son was your whole world. That's what he's mourning now, in advance, while you're still here, because he knows the missing has already begun. Not in some distant future, now, in the spaces between words at dinner, in the closed door of your bedroom, in the way you've started to need him less, and he doesn't resent you for it. He's proud of it, actually, because it means he did something right. He raised you to leave, but pride and grief can live in the same breath, and they do. If you could see him the way I'm describing him now, you'd probably feel uncomfortable, maybe a little guilty. Maybe you'd try to spend more time with him. But that's not the answer either, because forced time isn't real time, and nostalgia is a prison if you live inside it. The truth is simpler and harder than that. You're supposed to grow up. He's supposed to let you go. And both of those things are happening exactly as they should. But that doesn't mean they don't hurt. What your father wants, though he'd never say it this way, is not for you to stay young. He wants you to know that you were loved in a way that's hard to describe. Loved not for what you accomplished or who you became, but for the fact that you existed at all. That your presence in his life, even in its most ordinary moments, was the center of his world. That the years you are living right now, the ones that feel slow, even boring, even frustrating, are the years he would give anything to live one more time, not to change them, just to be inside them again, to hear your footsteps on the stairs, to see you walk through the door after school, to sit next to you on the couch, not saying anything, just knowing you're there. And someday, when you're older, you'll understand this in a way that will break your heart and rebuild it at the same time. You'll realize that the love you took for granted was not ordinary at all. It was everything, and the time you thought you had forever to return to was already disappearing while you were living it. He knows you can't feel this yet, and he doesn't want you to, because the weight of that knowledge is something you should only carry when you're strong enough to hold it. But it's there, waiting for you, like a letter you'll open later. And when you do, you'll finally see him. Not as the man who told you to clean your room or finish your homework, but as the man who stood in your doorway long after you fell asleep, watching you breathe, already missing you, even though you were right there,